Here we go. Right, let's go around. I'm going to try and find a little gap because we've got a camera, so I'm going to zoom past the vehicles and we're going to take this little gap over here. This is what's quite nice about having a zoom. Oh, that is lovely. There we go. So we won't have a look at the boys just yet, but we will get to them eventually. But we've got one of the Styx Lionesses with her 2 cubs. This is actually a great spot in here. All the quarry has collected quite a good amount of water. It looks like they've already had a drink. They've got very wet chins, or very muddy chins at the moment. Oh no, the Styx are funny looking lions, unfortunately. They're not pretty like the Nkuhumas. But those cubs don't look too bad. They look like they've got full bellies. Little bit mangy, but not too mangy just yet. You can still see their ears are in relatively good nick. They always seem to be just a little bit patchy behind the elbow. So maybe these two have got a chance. Quite exciting. Hello, little ones. Let's have a good look at them when they stand up. Yes, they're actually not looking too bad. And this one has got exceptional eyes, don't you think? Beautiful yellow eyes. Yeah. There's something in my mouth that didn't taste very nice. Now, there's also 2 Birmingham Boys here. I haven't been able to see who exactly they are just yet, but we will at some point we'll get a better view. Hello, little one. Now, I haven't even been able to see if they're male or female, these 2 young cubs. I've only seen them very briefly, a few times. And most of the time it's always been just before the sun sets too. Now, consulting detective, you were actually wondering if we knew the sex of the cubs. No, we don't. I don't know. But we'll try and have a look today, seeing as though it's not going to get darker, it's going to get lighter. And then we'll have to see. Come on, little one, stand up. Let's see if we get a good view. Are you a little girl or are you a little boy? She looks like it could be a female. It's obviously quite difficult at this age. They're only a few months old. So the older they get, the easier it'll become. I think this one just looks quite female-like. I could be mistaken. Very curious, and I think looking at the big male, you know what lions are like. The little ones, they always want to hang around with the boys. Yes, that is a little girl with a big belly like that. I cannot see any parts that would make it a boy, so there we go, one girl. Big full belly. You can see the belly though is a little bit scraggly, not the greatest looking. You can see a little bit of hair loss, but they're looking good. They really are looking healthy though. And licking like that, grooming, is a very good way to, of course, try and get rid of something like a bit of mange. Is keeping it nice and clean. And we've seen the Nkuhumas come back from it. Those cubs looked terrible at one point, and they didn't let that stop them. So possibly this may be the litter of Styx that make it. But it is tough for them, because most of the females have the mange, so as soon as they're born, they're being exposed to it, and that's obviously quite harsh for them at such a young age, not having built up the immunities, not having all the different, first even the bacteria in its stomach to help fend off viruses and all that type of thing. So they're definitely a little bit more susceptible when they are young. But how's that pose? Big belly, legs out. That is very funny. Have you ever seen a stomach so full? Now, Stephen, you're wondering if they'll drink the muddy water that's behind them. They will indeed. I haven't noticed lions to be particularly picky when it comes to the type of water that they're drinking. Elephants seem to be the ones that prefer the clean water, and we've actually been seeing it quite a bit in the Mulwati. They've all been digging up holes, and you see the beautiful crystal clear upwellings of water that are coming through the sand. Lions, not so much. And yes, you could see that it was muddy, particularly on the female. She had a very brown chin. But that's all right. They're used to, when they do drink or when they do eat, they eat a lot of grit, a lot of sand, soil, and it doesn't seem to bother them too much. Obviously in small quantities. You wouldn't want to eat a kilogram of sand, otherwise you'd find yourself in a bit of trouble. Now, even with this full belly, that lion instinct is now starting to kick in. I think you are so full you can barely move. trying to stalk. Bit difficult to stalk when your stomach drags along the bottom of the ground. But luckily, Sibling is also grooming herself. Now they're going to play. I hope they do play. We haven't seen playing lions for a very long time. Now, William, you're wondering if lions get hairballs. They do indeed, exactly like your cats at home, from grooming themselves, from when they're eating as well. They often ingest quite a bit of hair. So that's why you'll see them munching away on grass, because grass helps induce vomiting, and in that way they're able to cough up those hairballs. But you do see a lot of it. Look at those bellies. I can't believe it. I don't know what their age, and I obviously didn't see them. I haven't seen them for quite some time. I know Tristan saw them, and I think they'd killed a warthog, but they killed a warthog 2 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. So they must have caught something else. I mean, they look really, really fat. It's either that or Mom's Milk is doing a really great job at the moment. This is really amazing. But now they're just having a little rest. That little one, though, is on the inquisitive side, venturing closer and closer to one of the Birminghams. And once one of the other guards move out, we'll try and take a better spot. It's quite difficult to see from one of the other angles. But I can only suspect that it'll be Tinyo and Mfumo that are here with the Styx Pride. It was Tinyo mating with one of the lionesses. But I haven't seen the other one. I've only seen... Did you also only see one when we came in? Which is unusual, because I don't think it's this female mating with the boy, so I don't know where the other lioness has gone. Maybe she's just sitting in front of the other car. Yes, you two play around. Act like little cubs, please. I think the reason why they look so lethargic at the moment and they can't move is really just because they've got those big bellies that are bursting at the seam. Let's see, and we'll try and also be able to see what the sex is of this one that is now grooming itself. That is just the funniest position that they're sitting in. Now, Skip, you're wondering when the male lions will get their manes. So, Skip, it's actually quite a cool thing to watch if you follow the prides of lions, because they start to develop very hairy sort of chest and neck. And you can normally start to see that at about between, I'd say about 8 months and a year. You start to see that a little bit. Oh, here comes the big Birmingham. That's why they're staring. That looks like Tinyo. Let's just see. He's going to his brother. Oh no, there's the other lioness. Ah, I thought there were two Birminghams. Maybe I've got mistaken and there's just the one female. I also can't see what you're looking at now. When I look at that lioness, I just see a tail sticking out from behind the car. That must be Tinyo then. Maybe there's not two Birminghams. Okay, going to sit nice and close to her, and of course they have been mating. So Skip, but let me go back to the main question. It doesn't just develop overnight, it takes a very, very long time. So even when you look at the Birmingham boys, Tinyo and Mfumo are really just getting their proper manes now, but it has taken quite some time. So it starts growing from a young age, and really only once they get to about 6 years old, maybe even 6.5 years old, do they really have a full set of hair. And at the biggest that it will get. But Nana, I think, Nana and Utsuku have got the two most impressive manes out of the Birmingham boys. Yes, come fatty. Come and play next to us. Must be a bit difficult, as you can see, moving around on all that unlevel ground. It looks like that mud is quite hard as well. Yes, now stalk your sister. Oh, there we go. Now we might be able to see if it's a girl or a boy. No, not yet. Push them into the water. That's what I always love. And one day I want to see that when two little ones are playing about and they push each other accidentally into a puddle. Oh. Not quite an Nkuhuma battle. Those little cubs were very rough. But again, I think it's maybe because they're just so full at the moment that they really don't have the energy to eat. That one also looks very girl-like. Is it, or it could be a little boy? I can't tell just yet. There could be a yeah. Oh, what do you think, Jean-Andre? I think it looks like a girl. I think we've got two little girls here. Now, Dr. Rob, you were wondering how many lions make up the Styx Pride. So, Dr. Rob, it was actually quite sad when I first started working here. There were 3 lionesses and there were 8 cubs. But unfortunately, none of those 8 cubs made it due to the fact that they all got almost sarcoptic mange. It looked like they were completely burnt, if I can only describe it. There was not an ounce of hair left on their bodies. And unfortunately, like I was saying, at a young age, it is something very, very difficult to overcome. It was also during the peak of the drought, so the animals, the buffalo that they were feeding on, didn't have the greatest nutrients. Remember, we saw 2 of the Nkuhuma cubs die of the white muscle disease. And so far, it's the 3 females, these 2 new cubs, and then I believe that there's another set of 2 as well with one of the other lionesses. But when you're out in the bush and your bellies are quite full, sometimes a ball of elephant dung makes for the best toy. Oh, that's not that great. That is a crumbly piece of elephant dung. You never want to eat a crumbly piece of elephant dung. And we're going to hang around here for a little bit longer. There are going to be lots of guards that are going to come to the sighting, but we'll probably be able to see them once more. But let's go across to Byron, who's got something that these lions might like to eat. Not just yet, we're still waiting. However, I'm starting to doubt myself as to which male lion this is. This is definitely not Tinyo, and hopefully he'll look at us so we can get a view. I haven't decided if it is Nena or Nsuku just yet. We haven't had the greatest view, but he is snuggled up to the other lioness, and he was actually grooming her just a moment ago. But now, have a little listen to the sounds coming from the cubs. Little ones are complaining and trying to suckle. Have a little listen. Now that's a sound we haven't heard in quite some time. Cheryl, now you're wondering what is the survival rate of these cubs. Cheryl, at the moment it's a little bit difficult, of course, to even try and get to an answer, just because these cubs in particular have so many obstacles against them, and the main one being the fact that their mothers have mange. She's not interested in the cubs today, so that's a little bit of a problem, of course, which makes it that much more difficult. But typically the first 6 months of a lion's life is the hardest, and normally if they make it to 6 months they've got a better chance, and then if they get to about 2 years it's a really relatively good chance. Now the cubs are really fat, so I don't know if they've just been drinking milk, because the adults don't seem to be too fat. But she's a scarred lioness. She looks like she's been in a couple of battles, a couple of cuts on her eyes, but leading the cubs past the cars now. Don't you jump on that male lion. You're going to find yourself in a bit of trouble. This little one over here is very brave and just trying to give this boy a little bit of love, but he's not interested. But they've got the most gorgeous eyes, the Styx cubs. Definitely a completely different coloration from the Nkuhuma cubs. They've got lovely, well, let's see, this one's eyes are a little bit more yellow. Turn and look at us, please, so we can see your beautiful eyes. Come on. How scruffy they are. Yeah, so both of them seem to have almost amber eyes, the same coloration of eyes that amber eyes does. And it is absolutely lovely, like a hazelnut colour, if you will. It really, really, really is beautiful. Now, Mum is actually moved off. I think she's hungry. I think she wants to go and look for something to eat. And I did see a couple of impalas starting to come along onto the airstrip. So we'll see what she does with her cubs and where she leaves them. And I'll just keep an eye out on her, but it might be fun to actually watch her. These two, however, won't be too interested in feeding at the moment, as this is our honeymoon couple. Let's see what she's going to do. She's just disappearing over the edge. Or she could be just going to look for a bit of shade, maybe find her spot for the morning. I'm just trying to get organised with all the cables around here. I don't have a look. Try and turn around quickly. Yes, naughty. They're naughty look. Very, very, very naughty looks on their faces. Don't worry, I'm not going to drive over you. I'm just coming a little bit close. It's okay, relax. Oh, the little cub's a little bit nervous. We're sitting at very strange angles in the quarry. Of course, there's nothing flat and nothing level in here. So that little cub is obviously just a little bit on the shy side when it comes to the cars. The other one doesn't mind so much, but you often find that with the various animals, they've all got different traits. Some are a little bit more relaxed and some aren't. And of course that lioness and the big Birmingham had got a fright just because the cub got up and ran straight into them. But isn't this wonderful? I think the lioness has left her cubs with this lot. Now, Rakesh, you're wondering, hang on, this is actually really sweet. There we go. Who is this? Is this Nana or is this Nsuku? I think it is Nsuku. Look at the lovely golden eyes. I don't see that very prominent equal scar that is on Nana's nose, so I think that this is indeed Nsuku. But if I am mistaken, please let me know. Hashtag Safari Live. I just haven't seen Nsuku for such a long time. So, sorry, Megan, may I please have the question again from Rakesh? Where did that lion cub go? It's gone behind us. It's naughty. Rakesh, you're wondering, when do lions hunt for food? Is it weekly? It actually depends. Now, I'm looking over my shoulder because that is going to be amazing. There's a little... Should we reposition, Genre? Or are we gonna, I think we're going to get the aerial. Sorry, Rakesh, there's so much action, but this little cub is climbing up on a fallen leadwood, an old leadwood, which is actually beautiful. And hopefully his sibling is going to go and run over there too. This is lovely. I'm the king of the world. I'm the queen of the world, I should say. And so, Rakesh, if they could hunt every single day and they were successful enough, they definitely would do so. However, unfortunately, the big cats don't have the most successful hunting strategies. So if they can catch something, they typically want it to be as large of an animal as possible so that they can feed off of it for a few days. And then from there, if they can get something every third or fourth day, that would be absolutely wonderful. But isn't that such a stunning shot? Little one, curious, going exploring. And again, now you can see the two different personalities. This is the bold, adventurous type, whereas the other one is a little bit more skittish. Oh, this is so beautiful. Now, Caitlin, you're wondering at what age will these cubs leave their moms and go venturing for food? Caitlin, they actually become quite curious. Normally from I find it about 6 months old, they seem to think that they're the biggest cats in the bush. And they go and do their own things. Just disappearing behind the car. This one's very bold. So it's quite hard to say, but they start joining in on the hunts at about 1.5 years. They do watch from a distance from about 1 year. We've actually seen the most amazing sighting of the Nkuhuma cubs partaking in, well, trying to bring down a buffalo calf. The adults, the lionesses, actually just sat and watched them and let them climb all over it. And the cubs were anywhere between about 4 and 7 months. So that was quite exciting. I'd never seen anything like that before. And I reckon this little one over here is going to be very much an adventurous little lion. And probably go off and chase squirrels and birds and those types of things as often as it can. Whether it will catch one of them or not, probably not. As I think they've got a long way to go before they've really, well, completed their stalking and pouncing techniques. But the other sibling now is laying as flat as it can. And I think we're going to see a little pounce happen. Come on. No, I'm just going to look at you now. Thank you. So I think most of you have said that you reckon that this isn't Nsuku. I think so. Well, when he walked across the frame earlier, I didn't really get to see him. And Tenyo and Mfumo's manes have also started to fill out quite a bit now. And so it often becomes quite difficult if you don't get a front-on view. He's actually got quite scarred now. If you remember the last time we saw Nsuku, he was beautiful and clean. He had the most gorgeous face. And now he seems to have a couple of little scratches on his nose. So that could be from many different things. It could be mating with lionesses, or it could just be scrapping around a carcass, but nothing too serious. Nowhere near as scarred as what Mfumo is. He's the most gorgeous lion to photograph now, with that cut coming down his eye. But this is absolutely lovely. Now, I'm sitting here all by myself. I don't know if anybody else wants to come to this sighting. I haven't heard anyone calling me just yet, but that also may mean that I don't have communication with the other guides. But in a moment, we're actually going to leave this lot, and I'd love to go and figure out where that lioness has gone. She looked thin. She didn't look like she'd eaten anything for quite some time. And especially with 2 young cubs, she's going to ignore the mating pair, who the last thing that they want to do is eat. And she'll have to go off and find her own food so that she can keep producing milk for these little ones. The other 2 don't have that obligation. And they can go with food for a little bit longer. There we go. I love the way that they start to stalk, head dropping down towards the ground. Come on, do a big leap. You guys haven't done any big jumps for us today. And edging, no. These 2 are not the greatest at hunting just yet, as you've seen. I don't know if they really know what they're doing just yet, or if it's because of their full bellies that they are reluctant to play around. Funny little things, lions, especially when they're this age. See, they're looking for something to entertain them in the water, whether it's going to be a terrapin or a frog. They might splash around. Oh, lovely. Look at that, happy tail wagging. Ooh, look at me. I always think when they do that, that's what they're saying. They're showing off. Ah, there's another car coming now. That's great. They'll be able to control the sighting then. But fast asleep. And this is it, though. With this mating pair, it is good that the time that they're mating is going to dwindle down. They're on day number 3. Now, Buttons Cockatoo, you're wondering if it is true the darker a male lion's mane gets, the older it is. Not necessarily, because you do get blonde-maned lions out in the wilderness too that don't just seem to have that dark coloration. So not necessarily true, but the mane does normally only start darkening at about between 5.5 years, and then eventually they'll develop their massive manes. But I love the fact that that lioness has just left her 2 cubs now with the mating pair. Isn't that wonderful? That inner pride, and because the bond between the various members is so strong, you can just leave them with a babysitter. If one doesn't want to go anywhere, well, okay, well, it's your chance to have a look after them. I'm going to go off and do something else now. Well, this is quite cool. This is really lovely. It's nice to see a little lion cub sort of dwarfed up against a big male lion. I think there's nothing quite as precious. And Nsuku seems to be quite a nice dad. He doesn't mind the cubs when they go up to him. Unlike Tinyo, who has very little tolerance from what I saw in the last few months, for the Nguhuma cubs especially. He always used to swat them and growl at them. Mfumo is different. We saw the most amazing behavior with Mfumo, how he would take time out of the day to go up and greet every single lioness, and he'd spend time with them and groom them, and he also tolerated the cubs too. He let them jump on his back and bite his mane. He didn't mind so much. And I think Nsuku's very much like that too. He seems to be quite a placid male lion. I haven't seen him get into too many scraps. Tinyo, I think, is the fighter. We're going to keep playing around here with the lions. Well, they're going to keep playing around us. And I'm going to send you across now to Tristan, who's on foot and finally found some creepy crawlies. Return. She actually just did a couple of roars for us, so let's see if she does it again. I don't know who she's trying to call. Maybe the 3rd lioness that's missing from the Styx Pride. I'm not so sure. Because as far as I've heard, she's been hanging around quite far away from here, sort of towards the nets, which is, well, I suppose it's actually not too far from here. So she could probably hear her calls, but I think her cubs are still a bit too young. I think we had a rangers meeting, and they said that they were born on the 28th of February, so quite late. So they're basically just a month old now. So we might start to see them soon. They might be brought back to the Pride. This is fantastic. It's such a wonderful morning out here. It's actually getting very hot. I'm going to have to take my jacket off now. I'm feeling a little bit too warm. But our little cubs are becoming braver and braver and more comfortable with us. And I don't think we've quite had so much time to spend with the lion for a very long time. Sorry if you hear a bit of shuffling around, it is me. I'm just removing my big coat. Have a little listen to this one. No, now it's stopped moaning. I do love the sound of a little lion cub when they are always complaining about everything. Definitely this one takes after Mom. You're going back to your log? No, just sat down behind the car, but we've got another little cub sitting right next to us. Very close. And I can't get enough of looking into their eyes. They really just have the most gorgeous coloration. And Nsuku too, Nsuku with those yellow eyes. When he looks at you, wow, it's really, really quite fantastic. What have you found? A stone. Are you going to pick that up? Yes. It's mine now, and I shall take it with me, and you will be my best friend for the rest of the day. What always amazes me as to what actually catches the attention of these little cubs. Don't you think? It's always quite funny. They pick up the most bizarre things. I can understand playing with elephant dung because it can roll around. Now I've got the stone in my mouth, and I'm also going to play with a stick. Is that a stone? I don't know. Maybe it's a piece of slate. That's what it could be. And now the brave little lion is coming from behind and realized that, hey, what toys do you have that I didn't find? Give them to me. I also want to play with them, please. Now they're going to chase each other. Oh, so fat that it fell over. And they were very casual. Great recovery, little lion. Great recovery. You made that look like it was supposed to happen. I actually don't know what that lion is chewing on. I have absolutely no idea. Maybe a guest once lost something. But it will be alright. They won't eat anything they shouldn't eat. It is just nice as these lions start to teeth. What is that? A piece of rubber? Yes. That actually looks like it's come from a vehicle. It looks like a bit of rubber or something that's maybe torn off. Maybe a mud guard, part of the mud guard. That's exactly what that could be. And that sometimes happens is the way we off-road and things like that. The amount of mud guards I've actually picked up and bits and pieces of rubber and bolts. The amount of bolts I've picked up off of the ground, which scares me a little bit because at the rate at which we find them, it means that the vehicles can't be doing too well. But don't worry, don't panic. It's really just chewing on it because it feels nice. I don't think it will eat it. They're not that silly. But that must feel great. It's often you'll see them chewing on sticks. And it feels great on their teeth. Yes, you go tease your sibling with that and go and play with it. No, I'm going to play with it on the elephant dung now. That's wonderful. If these lions do move and this little cub does drop it, I shall pick it up. And I shall put it in the car. But for the moment, I can't really do too much about it. Except we can just watch it as it chews in this beautiful golden morning light. Isn't that lovely? Look how the light is catching its eyes. I'm actually really impressed at the condition that these little cubs are in. They're looking great. They're not looking too mangy. Just a couple of patches behind the elbows. So hopefully they keep cleaning themselves, and with the abundance of food that's around at the moment, I think that they should be alright. They've definitely got a much better chance now. During the drought, there really wasn't much hope for them. Yes, don't eat that. Don't be naughty. This is so stunning. Really, really beautiful. Yes, you pull on that. Now, Fork and Noodles, you've asked quite an interesting question, so we'll go into a bit of a discussion about this, but you said, how do they prevent ancestral mating with the cubs that come through. So it's quite amazing how nature's actually figured this out. So that is why the females stick together and the boys come and go. The males never really stay with the pride for too long. It's normally a couple of years, and a couple of generations of inbreeding is normal and natural out here, but can you believe it? Obviously with us as humans it's completely different, but with the cats and with the various animals it's fine, it's not frowned upon. However, you won't find a coalition of male lions lasting for more than 2 or 3 years, sometimes a bit longer if it's a really big coalition and all the members have managed to survive. They might stay for a bit longer than that. Having a good groom. So what happens is that new younger males, fresh genes come through, chase out the old boys, and then that way when they start mating with the females is a completely new bloodline. And then of course those younger cubs that are now 2 or 3 years old, the females will start mating with the new boys. And if there are any new cubs around, unfortunately, if there's a pride takeover, then they will be killed by the new males. If they're less than normally if they get to about 1.5 years, 2 years, they'll be alright. But anything less than that, the boys will take out the new males. They'll unfortunately kill them, and that is nature. Those males don't want to spend all their energy on raising someone else's genetics and ensuring their survival. They obviously want their own genetics to be the ones that fill up the lion population. They're starting to settle down now as it gets warmer, but that's of course no surprise. And we might stay here for a little bit longer. I'm not too sure just yet. We'll see how they behave. But let's go across to Byron, who's gone from birding to one of the largest mammals in the world. So we're still sitting with them. And this lioness, she came back and she was laying in the long grass, and now she's up again. So we're going to see what she's going to do, but otherwise they've been fairly flat. But it's like she knows every time we're coming live. And every time we go live, she stands up and she does something exciting, which is actually quite wonderful, suiting us perfect. And it is so nice for a change to be, as Jean-Do was saying, eye level with a group of lions, because she's walking on a higher embankment. Which way has she gone? Over here. Oh, there we go. We're going to get it again. As she goes around the edge of the bank. This is really beautiful. Oh, that's a lovely girl sitting there for us. Very kind. I think they're probably going to hang around here for most of the day. I don't think that they'll move very far. They've got water on their doorstep. There's plenty of shady spots. And also, if they sit here hidden away, the animals that are normally coming out on the airstrip will probably move back out into that area. And then later this evening, or maybe even at some point today, they could potentially go out and try and hunt. So it's actually a very clever strategy, and I think it's a good one. So this afternoon could be quite exciting. Or you never know, maybe something comes wandering down here to have a drink, a group of warthogs. Then they're going to find themselves in a bit of trouble. But this has really been a spectacular morning. I haven't seen a lion sighting like this for a very long time. Now, hello, Skip, thanks for all your questions this morning. You're wondering if lion prides live in dens like hyenas. No, they don't. Not when they're in a big group like this. But Skip, I'll tell you, often when a lioness goes off on her own to give birth to little cubs, she'll look for a den site. So that den site could be a number of different things. It could be from an old hyena burrow or warthog burrow to a fallen log, or also maybe a shrub. Sorry, it's so bright. I don't know if I can look at you, Jean-Do, because I'll just have to look at you like this with my eyes closed, and I'll do all the talking like this. How does that look? Is it wonderful? I'm going to actually duck so you can have a look at the lions. So Skip, so sometimes, yes, they will use dens, but it's normally when it's mom with teeny tiny cubs, and then she needs a good sheltered spot for her little ones. It needs to be well weathered, so they can't really be getting rained on at such a tiny age. So she'll either it'll be underneath a tree of some sort, even in a natural rock cavity, so like a little cave, or indeed a den like a hyena would use. And leopards will do very much the same things. The females will do exactly the same. And then once the cubs are old enough to come towards the pride, and hopefully that's going to be soon with the other Styx cubs, which I don't think we've seen them just yet, and then they'll bring them out here. which will be quite exciting. I'm actually really looking forward to having some little young lions again. The kahumas are all grown up. They don't even look like cubs anymore. Is that Mom growling? Sounds like Mom is not very happy with her little ones. Oh no, it's these two. Oh, hello. Oh, this is exciting. Let's see if they're going to do a bit of mating right here in front of the car. Now, Starlight Pan, you're wondering what is wrong with that lioness's eye. I think she's just got herself in a little bit of a scrap, really. Let's see, no, she's using... This lioness is now urinating, and we're going to see this male test her urine, so watch for the beautiful facial expression. So it's just a cut, it will heal alright. Often they scrap. There's the beautiful smile, the phlegm and grimace. Now, they haven't mated once since we've been here yet, but the sort of time period that they have been mating will get less and less. However, apparently this lioness was mating with Tinyo yesterday, which means that Tinyo has been given the boot and Nsuku is now here. So he won't be too tired, he won't be too sick of mating. Oh no, that little cub is now trying to climb down the bank. I don't know how brave that is, little one. Oh, look at it. It hasn't quite got his 4x4 engaged just yet. Well done. You didn't topple on your head. Very impressive. And I think he's got drawn to the commotion that's going on down here and doesn't want to be left out. They're sort of coming to say, hello, yes, I'd like to come and join you. No, be careful not to get too close, little one. Let's see, yes, it looks like he wants to mate with her. And he's actually been quite sweet. He's been grooming her during the morning. He's been doing all sorts of wonderful things. So he's also a beautiful male with a lovely temperament. Even though they're nice and relaxed now, if there were other male lions in the area, or a battle between dominants to establish who can mate with the females, I'll tell you right now, he'll go from being lovely and placid to, not quite a killing machine, but definitely do some damage to his brothers or other male lions that dare try come here. But isn't this cool? Sitting, have a little one going for another little drink. Now you can actually see the mange, especially on the tail and around the elbows, and normally the tips of the ears as well, but the ears don't look so bad. A little bit tattered, but I think that could be from all the biting flies that are out at the moment. But this is great. And I kid you not, there's not another vehicle in sight. We were here all on our own. And I love it. I actually miss spending lots of time with the lions. We went from when I first started working here to seeing them 10 times a day and sitting with them for hours and hours and hours and watching them grow, to them vanishing towards the end of the year after we had our big rains. Well, at least we've got the Styx pride. I'm very happy about that. Be nice to get to know them a little better. I don't know this pride very well. This is so fantastic. Now, Claire, you're wondering how sharp are the lion's claws. Claire, it's exceptional. How sharp they are. You see that little one trying to do the phlegm and grimace now as well. They've all got a Jacobson organ, but at this stage I don't really know how to use it very well, but trying to do the same little face. And so Claire, if you remember the zebra that we saw, for example, that one from the McCurdy herdie that unfortunately was savaged by, what we think to be a lioness, it could have been a male lion too, and all that skin that was removed from that zebra, that was just done by the claws. So that just shows you they're like very, very, very sharp chef's knives, I presume, and so sharp that they was able to slice, well, the flesh, the skin right back off of the fatty layer, which was pretty gruesome, of course, as I describe it, and quite gross to see too. But it's nature, and it's just one of those things. Gross is not the right word to use, but yeah, but you get what I mean. And we still don't know where that zebra is. Just a quick update. I haven't seen any particular tracks of hers. Hers will be very easy tracks to follow too, because she'll have a limp. So you'll notice that the striding between the front and back legs is not going to be the same. The back right, she'll probably be dragging, so you may even see a drag mark, but none of that just yet. And now they've gone to sleep. This is lovely, and that's a good spot where they're laying too, on the mud, so they will keep nice and cool, not necessarily like hyenas and wild dogs that will quite happily go and lay in a puddle of water to cool themselves down. It's not uncommon to see leopards and lions just sitting at the base of a watering hole on some mud where it is nice and cool. We'll see if these lions get up to a little bit more, but I think they're going to have a siesta now. Everything is settled down, so we might move on and try to find something else. But let's go back across to the bushwalk team, who seem to be looking at one of the most important insects in the world.